Namaskar, Savasdi. When we go to the mountains and we're taking a walk and we come to a precipice, we come to a cliff, we automatically do not take even 2 steps ahead and ensure certain death, because if we do, we fall thousands of feet down. So what do? We turn back, and that is probably called common sense, or that is probably called prudence. We are dealing with a subject these days which is being discussed very strongly all over India, and that is the subject of freedom of speech. Recently, 2 interesting cases have come up in the Supreme Court, which would have been noticed by a lot of people. One is the professor of Ashoka University, Ali Khan, Mahmoodabad, and the other one is Wajahat Khan. We shall not go into the religious part of both the names. I want to write an edit on the issue of freedom of speech. The trouble that the nation is facing, society is facing, is that India has always been a country which has been trying to assert its rights, and through the ages, through the past decades, we have had political parties, we have had NGOs, we have had social activists who have always spoken about the rights of citizens. But duties have very rarely cropped up as an important issue. And the Supreme Court has more or less in both these 2 cases of Mahmoodabad and Wajahat Khan has underlined, very rightly so, the issue of duties also. While Ashoka University Professor Ali Khan Mahmoodabad had specifically talked about the Pahalgam attack and the aftermath of that, Wajahat Khan on the other side had not talked about directly about Pahalgam attack, but he had filed FIRs against a lady influencer called Sharmishta Panoli, and then he had made certain social media postings which were considered setting one community against the other by many people in different parts of the country. And many people found that to be offensive or anti-national or anti-India or anti-one one community against another. They felt they are setting up. So these are issues which are very tricky, very thorny, and I always have this thing that how far even in my edits can I go, and how much more I can push the boundaries. For me, freedom of speech, or freedom as such, the very word means, I have to see for myself, and I guess it is the same valid reason for everybody, that our individual freedom extends as far as we think we can stretch the belt. When we realize, which we should, whenever we feel that we have stretched it too far, then obviously freedom ends there. For instance, like I spoke about a little earlier about the mountain walk. If you're walking in the mountain, you know where to stop, otherwise you fall thousands of feet down. Similarly, if you are a movie buff and you have watched this movie called Pulp Fiction, there you know that even the big boss, the mafia boss, he also gets into a situation where he is helpless, he is tied up, and 2 people take advantage of him physically. So even the strongest person can fall prey to a particular situation or a particular idea. So freedom of speech is very much like that, where you have to personally decide what is not only decent, the language has to be decent, but also what would not hurt others. I can be free, but I don't have to step on your toes. So in this background, when the courts are asking this few state governments and the center to draw up a list of do's and don'ts for freedom of speech, which they have done in relation to these two both cases, this is something also troublesome, because once you give the government the power to decide what is freedom of speech, how far the citizen can go, and how much the citizen should avail of that facility, then obviously the government becomes the deciding factor. The citizen has to be obedient to those government framework or the borders that the government sets. That is something that is totally not acceptable to me. But if we see the observations in both these cases, it is very clear that the honorable judges are disturbed by hate speech, are disturbed by anti-national sentiments being aired, and are genuinely bothered that it is necessary that we find our own limitations. But handing over the responsibility to the governments, state governments and the union government in this particular situation in 2025 to decide what is the limits of free speech is something that I find is anathema to the whole issue that is being discussed now. While discussing freedom of speech or freedom, we should all be aware that this is an issue that will last as long as humanity lives on earth. There will be some who will try to curtail the freedom of speech of others. There will be some who will fight for more freedom. So this is an ongoing battle which will last forever. So I would like your opinions, and I would like to write on this subject. But I think that again, for me also, it would be wise to be cautious, because again, freedom is something which we have to decide for ourselves how far we can stretch it. It is not something that I do not have to care for anything. I have to care for sentiments, I have to care for feelings, and yet I have to express my opinions. And this is the situation that every citizen is in now. And working out from that situation, I would like to know your opinion. How do you think this edit can go? Thank you.